What's going on, everybody? I'm Nick.
And I'm Joe.
And we're Nick and Joe. Welcome back to an all-new episode of the K-Drama Club, where we are watching the K-drama
Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha
on Netflix. And if you've been watching along with us, you know that we're on episodes
7 and 8.
That's right. We are up to date. We're at the midpoint.
The midpoint, in theory.
And if you're new here, we're two friends.
Two friends.
We like K-pop.
K-pop.
We like K-dramas.
K-dramas.
And we like making YouTube videos about those things.
Whenever we feel like it.
So if you also like those things, make sure you subscribe and turn notifications on so you don't miss a future video. In case you don't know, we talk about K-dramas on this show. We have done a K-drama club on Crash Landing on You, on Startup, and here we are on Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha. So if you are liking this K-drama and you want to go back and watch from episode 1 along with us, that'd be awesome. Check out our previous episodes. But here we are, episodes 7 and 8. More exciting things happening.
More exciting things happening. It kind of went in a different direction than I thought.
A love triangle is emerging.
Yeah, and I thought that it was going to be more of a love triangle than it's really turning out to be, I feel like. Where I think that even with this other guy, the director, somewhat famous, coming into town and...
Old friend of Heejin.
Yeah, old friend, and kind of like openly declaring to Tushik that he
asking, is she seeing anybody?
Like he has interest in her in some way. But it doesn't feel like that is like it's going in that direction really at all.
No.
Like it feels like he has that kind of interest, but I am getting nothing from her that would make me feel like that's going to be even what's going to happen in any part of the show. Yeah,
it's interesting because she is showing some kind of excitement and interest about him, and even her friend is like, "Oh, he's in town. You're going to get another chance with him," but. She seems very standoffish in a similar way than she is to Tushik, but then also she is kind of excited, but is also still showing a lot of strong signs that she likes Tushik.
Yeah, and she's really I just feel like she's not going for that guy at all. And I thought it was going to be this whole dilemma which might still happen, where she actually wants to be with Tushik, but she convinces herself that it would be better for her to try to be with this other guy, and then Tushik kind of gets cast off. And I think that he's feeling cast off in that kind of way. You can see in the scenes where they all drink together, and
he's inserting himself constantly.
Yeah, exactly. And she finds him outside, and he says "Don't leave, don't leave me behind," kind of thing. And I think that's goes to another recurring theme of the show where they drink together and stuff happens, and then she remembers it later, but he remembers it the whole time.
Yeah.
So it's very meaningful for him. And he just will never admit what actually happened, or I feel like he doesn't want to I don't know, he doesn't want to talk about it when they're sober.
They keep having these romantic moments, and she hasn't had a single, not that I can think of, romantic moment with the director.
Exactly, and I just feel throughout the show, it's we don't see them two alone ever.
Right.
And it's always with Tushik.
Well, that's because Tushik shows up.
Yeah, exactly. But we see him and the director together all the time.
Yeah,
because they're hanging out. They're actually I feel good friends, going to be good friends. And I almost feel we're going to hit a point where either the director guy realizes that Tushik has feelings for her, or he straight up tells the director guy that he does, and he's going to back off. Because I think that their friendship is actually something. It seems like their friendship is actually going to be a real friendship. They seem to actually like each other and want to spend time together and stuff.
Which is very interesting because the director, a big guy from the big city, you would think it would be a similar vibe to Heejin's experience coming to a small town from the big city. But it's kind of interesting the way they're playing off of each other.
Yeah, but he almost feels like he fits in the small town. He enjoys that kind of setting almost. But yeah, it's definitely a different vibe.
He's just trying to make a good show. But he's trying to get the grandmother's house for the show. Yes.
And I think it's a very funny thing where he's trying to get her to allow him, let him use the house. So he's giving her all kinds of gifts and stuff.
Doing nice things for her.
But it doesn't really feel like nothing about his character feels like it's not genuine.
Yeah, he doesn't feel like he's shady, he's trying to take advantage.
He almost seems like he's supposed to be the bad guy in the show.
Right.
But there's nothing
Yeah.
Like he's like coming into this situation, it's like it feels like he's supposed to be the one that's messing everything up.
Yeah.
But I don't like. I like the character. He seems like a nice guy, and like there's nothing.
Yeah.
I don't like. He has no ill intentions.
I also love the dynamic of him coming in and helping everybody in the town in the way that Tushik would, and Tushik starts picking up on it, and he's getting like very like threatened, like
exactly.
annoyed that like he can't go help these people because this guy's already doing it.
But he also like doesn't seem too like you can tell in like there were moments where he was like upset or like, oh okay, like like I guess they don't need me, but he doesn't seem to be like taking it out on him at all.
No.
And he doesn't seem to be like there was a scene where he was like being really hard on him when he was trying to teach him how to surf.
Yes.
And that was kind of funny, but he doesn't seem to be like in any way angry towards him. I just don't think that he has that in him. I guess like to like really like hold it against him that he's acting that way.
Lighthearted relationship, not
sure.
nothing too harsh happening.
Yeah.
We learned about a lottery.
A lottery.
Somebody in the town hit the lottery.
So who was it?
I think it's gonna be Tushik.
You think Tushik won millions and millions of dollars?
And he just lives humbly. That's why like he does all these jobs and stuff. Like he has the freedom to do all that.
That's true. That's why he strictly works for minimum wage.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that would make sense, unless it's some other like random character, like maybe one of the older women, like one.
Yeah,
isn't telling women. But I think it would probably make sense because that would be a good moment of revelation if Heejin finds out that he's the one who won the lottery.
Yeah,
or something
exactly. Like she's wondering why he has an engineering degree and he just does all these like minimum wage jobs all over the town.
Right.
And he like if you look at it, it's like his house is really nice. He like has all these like hobbies that he does, and he only works like when he wants to.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that he
has a lot of money.
Has a lot of money just sitting in the bank.
Yes.
So, or maybe like even it could have been like his like that grandfather that took care of him or something, and like that won it and like, left it to him or something like that.
Totally. And a couple moments that I really enjoyed with Heejin and Tushik. One is when they go to the restaurant to eat, and both the guys are like, oh, she's going to sit next to me, or no, she's going to sit next to me. And when she sits down next to Tushik, his face is like the most perfect
That's like
face.
the most smug look on his
like,
face.
He's
like, of all
such
time.
a good actor, because like that's like exactly, like I could feel what he was thinking in that moment.
Yeah, it's like the pursed lips, like the you're trying not to smile, but I like that scene too because it's funny. Because it just shows like the different dynamics of the relationships that they have with her as well. Where I think like the other guy is kind of like, I feel like he's supposed to have like this like knight in shining armor kind of feel, like the outsider, like the guy she knows from college, where like she was walking up and he like pulled her chair out for her, like getting ready for her to sit down. And I feel like he like when he was giving her food, like when she wasn't eating when she was in college or whatever, like he's supposed to have this kind of like vibe,
chivalrous.
Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But Tushik just kind of sits down at the table and like leans back.
He's a cool guy.
And she just like pulls her own chair down and like sits next to him. And like I think that the point is to kind of show like that obviously there are things that are more important. Like it's more about like the person, I guess, like that. And I just think that she's giving like these little signs about like which person that she actually cares about or like wants to be with in that way. But she doesn't even like know it in her own head. She doesn't like think about it. She just like gives off all these signs.
Yes. And they have a great moment at the very end of episode 8. Well, we'll talk about the sinister situation that's popping up, but in a dark alley, she's running scared, and whose arms does she run into? Tushik's arms.
And I think it's funny because they're working on the show, and he's like sitting there, and he's like realizes like, I wonder where she's at. Like I haven't seen her. So he kind of like walks. I'm pretty sure like walks to her house to like make sure that she's home. And he like has his flashlight, like he's patrolling. So he like leaves the whatever they're filming for the show, and just like I'm pretty sure that last scene is like right outside her house. Like she's running from the alleyway like down towards her house, and he's like, "Oh, you shouldn't be at the office this late."
Yeah.
And she just.
And she runs towards him because she's running scared from something, like I said, we'll talk about in a moment. But yep, they have that exchange. They have the exchange where he says, don't leave me, and they kind of sleep next to each other again. But it's all evolving in the right direction, I would say.
Yeah, I would say I have 2 scenes that I liked between them as well. And I would say my favorite one was when they were washing the blankets together at the grandmother's house.
How could I forget?
And that's the scene where she like leans against him.
They're in love.
Yeah, and she remembers the night because like her whole thing is like something happens that was like similar to like a situation they were in. It like triggers the memory. So like when she leaned against him, it reminded her of when he like put his head on her and said like, "Don't leave me." And like that whole like washing the blanket scene was really funny.
I like
thought.
how he ropes her into it too.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, oh, she wants to help.
And I'm pretty sure like the grandmother is like onto it because when they finish the blankets, she just brings out like every single blanket in her house and like throws it on the floor. And I almost feel like she's doing that like on purpose because she sees it and she's like trying to like, she like probably wants to see Tushik be happy, obviously. There was also a scene where the grandmother walks out of her house when the guy's like trying to convince her to let her use the house, and she says, "Oh, that young man gives up so easily." Like she walks out.
But it seems like a double meaning.
Exactly. Like I almost feel like she walked out of her house and she said, "That young man gives up so easily." Like looking around the neighborhood, and I think that they were intending for you to think that she means like
the director
like trying to get her house. But I was like in my head, I felt like she was like saying it to like Tushik. Like she comes out, she looks around and notices that like he's not like out and about, like trying to like I think there were times in the first episode where he was like purposely crossing paths with Heejin every morning, and like he wasn't doing that. So she's like, "Oh, that young man gives up so easily." Like I felt like more like that kind of meaning. Could be wrong, and that we might never even know.
You thought that was going to be the end scene, which it would have been a good candidate for it.
Yeah, like I thought it would be like the end scene where they like flash back and she was like talking about something different than what you were like thinking that she meant.
Right.
But yeah.
It's also a funny situation where both the director and Heejin end up sleeping at Tushik's house. Yeah. And of course, our friendly neighborhood gossip sees them both leave. Yeah. And now the talk of the town is they both slept with Tushik.
Exactly.
We love that.
It's funny.
There are other budding romances as well in these episodes. We have the cop, Heejin's friend.
Which seems a little awkward still. Like,
rotisserie chicken moment.
Yeah, he's just very by the book,
yes.
that guy. So he doesn't really, I feel like his character is supposed to be like clueless.
Yeah.
Where he's just like a police officer and everything to him is about like being a police officer and like following the rules and like doing everything properly and stuff like that. So I think she's trying to
He couldn't stand that the poster was on the pole.
Exactly. She was trying to knock a little sense into him. And even like she tries to give him the lottery ticket as like a gift, and he's like, "Oh no, I can't take that." She's like, "It's not a bribe. Just take it's it's 5,000 won. Just take it." And then like she like leaves.
And then he gets her a rotisserie chicken.
Rotisserie chicken because she said
just
she
like
liked
she said.
Exactly.
That's a great. I can't wait for them to be together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, hopefully in the second half, because that one is moving on really slow. That whole situation. So hopefully in the second half of the show that picks up a little bit.
Totally.
And starts. We get a little bit more of that relationship.
And then we have the other love triangle, which is the married couple, well, the divorced couple, and the new teacher in town. That whole situation, we're getting more, we're shedding more light on that.
Like more background.
Yeah, how they all used to be friends. And she wasn't necessarily the teacher was not necessarily his first love. He just kind of like had a crush on her. It doesn't seem like they dated.
Like might have been his first love, but it was not
a mutual thing necessarily.
That doesn't seem like they were ever like involved in any way, I guess.
Right. And they were all three friends, and teacher really wants to be friends with the ex-wife, but she is starting to get so annoyed because the ex-husband is saying, "I'm going to go take her out to dinner and I'm going to do all this." Yeah. And she says, "Not with her. She's the one you can't do that with." And he's bugging out. It's just a very odd situation, but I hope it brings the women closer together, even though they had that moment of conflict where she's like, "Don't come to my restaurant, like don't bring me gifts, don't do nice things for me." But then she gets attacked. So that's a good moment to talk about the new sinister situation that's popping up in this town, which this seems like a thematic thing now, where like it's not necessarily our characters that are having major conflict with each other. It's like there's outside looming ominous force. Yeah. Like there's this person out there, like a predator in the neighborhood.
To kidnap women or something.
And he's taking people's laundry.
Yeah, which is weird. They like reference that early in the episode. One time, and then like when you look in his apartment, it like slowly like flat going down to the floor, and it showed like a bunch of stuff, and I was like, oh, that's the stuff that the people were complaining.
And if you didn't say that, I would not have put it together.
So like he was like stealing the women's laundry, like their dresses, and like one woman was talking about her bra, like he stole her bra, and
he attempts to kidnap the teacher.
Yeah, because she was very drunk.
Because she was sad that they had that they were arguing.
Yeah.
But of course,
her old friend
spots her in the alley, like, and then sees this guy trying to take her away, and kind of stops him. Yeah. And then they end up in the hospital, and then they're kind of having a moment, and then the goofy guy shows up after he fell in the shower. And
yeah. But I think that whole situation. I think the resolution for them will probably be like being friends again, like the three of them, like as a group, and maybe like reconciling a lot.
Because he doesn't have a shot.
No, that woman does not. The teacher does not seem interested in him.
No.
But he seems hopeless. So I'll say.
Oh, but that is the. I don't know how this situation with the predator in the neighborhood is going to evolve, because that's the thing we were talking about, where Heejin was walking home and she ends up running into Tushik's arms. She thinks she's getting followed, which I think she probably is.
She was, yeah. It seemed like she was definitely getting followed, but I don't think she was just scared because she felt like that somebody was following her.
Right, and the first time that happened with the creepy guy in the dentist's office, it kind of just got resolved really quick.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if that guy was like coming back or something. It doesn't seem that way, but maybe this will be the major kind of conflict that continues to happen throughout the show.
Yeah, I wonder where they're going to go with it, because it's a little weird. Because I think the one thing that makes me think that it's actually going to be like part of the show is that they showed the guy go back to his apartment after like he gets chased away from taking the drunk girl, and he like throws his hat and he's like all mad.
Yeah.
So like I think that he's actually going to be like the villain in the show somehow. But I just wonder, like, with a show like this, where it's really
like how serious is it going to get?
Because it really has like this like romantic comedy feel to it.
Right.
Like until it gets to these kind of like these like touchy topics and like intense moments.
Yeah.
It kind of goes the other direction. So I wonder like if it's going to be like a major part of the story, or if it's just going to be like sprinkled in there and they're going to resolve it quickly.
Yeah, they need some little bits of serious conflict happening. It's interesting for sure. We'll see how that goes in the next couple episodes. And we found out some backstory about another character who we might have thought was quite annoying in the past, the town gossip.
The town gossip.
Who is kind of, causing a bit more conflict by just being a town gossip. And not only that, she's now taking business away from Heejin by telling her friends to go get one procedure done at the dentist in town, and then go to this back alley person for their whatever it is, their implants. And Heejin confronts her, and they have a big conflict about it, and it doesn't really end that well. Only to find out that this woman, the reason she is trying to save a lot of money, and she's very careful with her money, is because she had a daughter that was Judy's age, and she passed away when she was young. And she donates money now to the Children's Hospital.
Yeah, like every year she raises money and donates it, so she like is like super like protective and like saving her money and everything. But it leads to this whole like phishing scam situation.
Yes, because she wants a high yield savings account. You ever heard of a savings account that does 15% interest?
I don't know if I would go meet that guy.
I don't know. So it's a phishing scam. They meet in the alley. Of course, Heejin sees like this exchange, which who is going to meet somebody in the back of an alley with their savings money?
Hey, somebody who's
desperate to get that 15%. Yeah. 15% is everything.
Yeah, exactly.
But yes, and then Heejin is trying to stick up for her in that situation, tell her this is a scam, and she doesn't quite believe her at first. But the guy takes off the money, and our two leads, or our two love interests, show up and chase the guy down. Tushik, of course. Handles it mostly because he knows the town, takes the shortcut, takes him down. I love it when Tushik is just putting somebody in a headlock or just almost breaking somebody's leg. Yeah. He's like the Batman of the town. I thought that was a funny situation.
Yeah, that was pretty good. And but so Heejin at that point didn't know anything about that woman's daughter or anything. So I think she was being especially hard on her, how you fall for this. I know you should know this is a scam. Yeah. Whatever. But then she kind of when she finds out more about her, the woman who tells her is the divorced woman. And she was we deal with her like this because seeing her at least like this, happy, being able to function, is better than seeing her the way that she was, after her daughter passed away. Right. So any happiness she can find, we just are okay with it and we support her. So I think that, and then after that, Heejin has a moment with the woman, but it's really not a moment.
I like it. I think it's a very nice, funny moment because they're being nice to each other, but it's also it's passive aggressive, but in a funny way. Yeah. They both understand what they're saying.
Exactly.
We were just at complete odds, but now we've come to an understanding. Yeah, exactly. And I like that she says, and you need to give us free dumplings sometimes when they come to your restaurant. I like that she threw that in there. Yeah. But now they're hopefully going to be friends, and the gossip situation won't be too terrible.
Yeah, I think the gossip situation will be less bad because if they have some sort of mutual respect.
I just like that Heejin's best friend is in the gossip group chat.
Yeah. Well, she probably gossips with them.
Yes, I think that's funny. Yeah, did we cover everything this
I don't
time?
know. We probably missed something.
You know, last episode we missed the fact that Tushik was seen in town with a woman, and it just ended up being somebody from the production staff.
Yeah, exactly.
And that didn't really end up being anything. But yes, expectations for the next couple episodes. I guess we'll see. Like maybe we will see more conflict from this love triangle, but I think it's just hard to see because Heejin hasn't.
She doesn't show that she's even interested in the other guy at all,
Right.
like in a romantic way.
Exactly.
Like it seems like just like an old friend that she's excited to see again.
Yeah.
And like I think for her, it's like just the fact of having like somebody from Seoul, kind of like like-minded who like understand. Like I think she feels like the people to some extent still don't really understand her in that way. So I think that that is exciting for her, but she does not seem like romantically interested in him at all. But that might still come.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what is going to happen with this ominous predator in the neighborhood. I'm very glad that it didn't end on a cliffhanger with like her getting like attacked or something like that.
Yeah,
I think this show, there's been a couple opportunities for this show to leave us feeling bad until the next episode, and it hasn't really done that.
Yeah, they don't.
They don't do that. We're lucky. So that's good. They're basically filming Sea of Hope in this town.
That's true, except with eating.
Yeah. Do you want to say about the secret thing that you found with the IU video for all the IU fans out there?
Oh yeah, I remember a while ago there was this IU video on YouTube, and it was like a fan tries to act like she doesn't recognize IU or something. And I saw the thumbnail yesterday. It was just like it came by recommended again on YouTube, and it was Judy from the show.
It's funny.
So she's just like on a YouTube channel before she was on the show.
And that's a very funny video if you are an IU fan to watch. A kid who is a super fan of IU try to pretend that they don't know who she is.
Yeah.
So I think that's funny. But yeah, that was her. That was cool. All right, well, that's going to be it.
That's it.
All right, until next week. If you want to follow along with the show with us, go back, watch some of our previous episodes, tune in next week. Make sure you have notifications turned on so you do not miss a future K-Drama Club. But for now, that's going to be it. My name is Nick.
And I'm Joe.
And we're Nick and Joe.